Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Blood. We've been away for a while. We've all been enjoying our Christmases and everything, and we all trust that you did yours. But we're back, and you will notice a familiar face has come in from the cold. We've got Nintendude back with us, and how we've missed him. We've got Ram with us. We've not missed him quite so much. And our special guest, which I'm really fucking psyched about, an IEM winner, we have got Pinoy. There he is. Hello, with his. I'm hoping that's a corky hat and not just the
It's a
severed
corky hat.
head of an old man.
It's his flashlight, actually.
So, guys, first of all, how was your Christmas? I mean, obviously, Ram, you don't celebrate it because you're Jewish, but you know, everyone else had a good Christmas, right?
Well, I celebrated the way that my people killed Jesus Christ, and then I feasted on the blood of the innocent. That's what I did.
God.
Well, Josh, did you celebrate something similarly horrible?
No, I took the normal route and celebrated Christmas with my family. Yeah, it was okay.
All right. Well, you still sound a bit down. I got an inkling why. Christopher, what about you? Good Christmas? Lots of
Yeah.
presents?
It was all right. Like my mom arrived home at the 23rd, so it was just me and my mom and my brothers, just standard Christmas.
It's a time for family. That's what I
Exactly.
believe in. So look, let's start with talking to you a little bit, Christopher. We always interview the guest first. That's the show tradition. Um, Real psyched because I did an interview with you at DreamHack where you got that T-shirt that you're wearing actually, and we talked about how things were going to be for you in Gambit. It must be really weird because when Gambit signed you as the AD carry, and I know you know this, lots of people were like, it's just a lack of ambition. He's not very good. I'd like to think we could do better. And then you go to IEM and you absolutely wreck everybody. So, do you feel now like really you've cemented your position, like, as a top AD carry? Talk me through the mental process that's been going on as you've risen to getting all this attention.
I think it was like good that I was like underrated, because then people didn't have as much expectations to me. So I don't know. I didn't feel the pressure that much, so I could like perform to my best as I could at the IEM.
Mm. Okay, and I thought there was more coming. There was a little at the end. I thought
Yeah,
you
I
were
was
going
just,
to give me some more deep thoughts there, but it's all right. We'll let you off.
I actually have a few questions to ask
we're all out of
based on your
practice.
performance at IEM.
Go on, Ram. Ride in and rescue the segment. Go on.
So, you talk about being an underrated area carry, and you've kind of cemented yourself as a super fucking aggressive player. Is this like a playstyle that, well, for people who obviously don't know about you, you've been playing for about, I guess, competitively for about a year and a half now, in some challenger
Yeah.
teams, some
1 year.
Danish teams. And I guess the general consensus for challenger AD carries is that they're always aggressive. But you've cemented yourself as probably like the most aggressive AD carry in like the pro scene. Is that a playstyle that you plan to keep, or are you open to adapt? Because you seem like a complete polar opposite of what Genja was.
I of course want to keep as aggressive as I can, but I also like want to do it to a certain degree so it doesn't get out of hand. Like I want to like find the balance of being aggressive when I can and when I can't, because sometimes I'm too over aggressive and I get caught out of position, and that's of course not the best thing to do. As an
My
AD.
next question is a bit more of like a theoretical, mechanical type of thing. So even though the game's been out for so long, we're still learning new ways to use flash and abilities together. And you pulled out a really sick move against Double Lift. I think it's the first out of 8 times that you shot on him, where you pressed R and then you flashed into him, buckshot autoed, and you pretty much one-shot him from like 60% HP. Where did you learn this? Like, did someone teach it to you? Did you just fiddle around and practice it yourself? Because that's basically how people learn how to do flash plays.
I think I've only done it once before that tournament. I don't know. I was like, okay, I think I can kill him, but I wanted like find a good way that I could kill him. So I just tried to ult flash. I don't know. I didn't really think about that I would ult and then flash. I don't know. Just what my fingers did, and it worked out. And
Yeah.
I've
The
been playing
animation.
like, yeah, the
Yeah.
animation is just there. And 1 week before I was just like only spamming Graves in both in scrims and solo queue, because I really think the champion is pretty good after the Corki Q nerf. So it's like really easy to lane against Corki, and just in general all the popularity carries.
Well, this is your first major tournament. Like, I guess people would consider IEM to be a major tournament. And you basically did a play that's been named the Pinoy. Now people are basically imitating it in solo queue and calling it the Pinoy. How does that make you feel?
It's of course great, but sometimes because I have close friends that always like spam it to me when I talk with them, and it's like, it's a bit weird, but it's a great feeling to have like people actually saying or naming a play after me.
That's all I got.
Okay, well, no, but I want to ask about going up against Double Lift, because I know a lot of people rate Double Lift very highly still, but it seemed to me that you absolutely wrecked him. You know, when I watched the VODs, there was some games where he, you know, out of the series where he just looked, well, you made him look ordinary. What was it like playing against him?
I was a bit nervous because I see Afromo and Doublelift as a really good bot lane, but it was like really awesome, and I didn't expect to do as well as we did, because in the first game where I shat on him, as we could say, I actually gave full XP to my top laner, and they were allowed to push the lane, so we were in a disadvantage in a losing lane already, but we managed to come back. So.
But what about, you know, his overall performance? Like, did you feel you were playing against a player who was one of the world's best, or were you surprised at how easy it was to beat Double Lift? I mean, how hard did you have to work to beat him?
I think he actually, in the whole series, I would say he played a bit better than me, because I don't know if his team held him down, but in game 2, 3, and 4, he was doing really well. Like they should have won the Vayne game where he would complete 1v9, and his Caitlyn, he was always up on farm, and always, I think he had more kill participation than me. So I think it was harder for him to work where he got in the game, or the impact he had, than I had to do, because my team did a lot to actually carry me up, like, so I could impact the game as well. So I think Doublelift played really well in that series.
We'll talk more about CLG later in the show. Just to talk a little bit about Gambit, you know, how do you feel as a team at the moment? There was a lot of question marks coming in to IEM. A lot of people were looking at you. You know, were you going to be any good? You know, and I'd say you and Brokenshard were the best, two players. You guys really stood out, and you were kind of the new kids on the block. How do you feel you did, you know, collectively as a team? Are you confident now about LCS? Because when we did the interview, you said you guys were aiming to be, you know, top 4, no problem. And I was a little bit like, really? But I guess now I kind of believe it's possible.
Yeah, I definitely feel confident that we're going to be in the top, because I feel like a lot of the teams from the ULCS are going to fall a bit down. I don't know about Fnatic's roster, how they're going to be, and I don't think the new Super Hot Crew or Meteor Makers look that great. So I only see like the competition we will have in the ULCS, as I see as in the top, will be Rocket, SK, and Alliance. And I think it will be close game against them, but I think we can take them down and get a top 3 or top 4 for sure.
All right, awesome. Well, look,
speaking of underperforming AD carries, how did you rate Core J? The AD carry of Dignitas. I mean, you played against them. You 2-0'd them. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I personally didn't think that he showed that much promise.
Did Gambit play Dignitas? Oh, that's right, they did. Oh my god.
He wasn't anything outstanding. Like, I don't know. I think he was a bit passive and tried to play aggressive, but some flashy plays that he did that really caught him out, and I didn't see much, because the first game we played against him was Corki Trish versus what did we play? We played Corki against Graves and Trish against Janna, and they just won the lane, and they only made one play that where I got killed by the Ezreal and Graves ulti. And the next game 2 I was laning against Snar, so I didn't really get I didn't see how well he did overall in the laning phase. But I think he was like okay, but he was a bit too passive and tried to be aggressive. That didn't work out.
Look, we'll talk more about IEM specifically, because I definitely want to talk about Dignitas as well and how they looked. But we're going to move over. You know, you've had your great news. Now we're going to move over to the not so great
Is
news.
this the part of the show that we roast Nintendude? Because I have a list.
Oh boy.
It
I have a
is.
list actually.
It is.
So when can we start?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Do you want to give a musical introduction, Ram, for the roast? Can't get
Oh,
your
No,
guitar.
no,
out.
no. I'm not.
Yeah, go on. I know you're dying to play
Come
your
on.
guitar.
I really don't. I just want to get to insulting Nintendude.
Okay, well, I'm going to insist you
Alright.
play your guitar at some point in the show.
At some point this show. At some point
All
this
right,
show.
but Josh, first of all, when you came on, to do the show, and I was like, "Did you have a good Christmas?" And you were like, "Yeah, it was okay, man. It was kind of okay." I was like, "Why are you, so upset still? Christmas is great. It's a wonderful time of the year." And you were like, "Don't know if you noticed, Richard, but it's been a sucky December." So why is that? What happened, Josh? What went wrong?
Well, we got like a game for being in the LCS, and then we got reverse swept. So I mean that kind of hurts. I mean, and we all were very confident going into the expansion tournament, and then got really, 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 really close, and then didn't make it. So that's rough.
This is actually number 7 on the list. You choked
boy.
harder than King Joffrey did at his wedding. Number 7.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, so that doesn't.
Yeah, well, people got it. It was pretty hard. Go on.
You think I choked?
Is
Oh my
it
God.
like you not watching the show makes you immune to the joke? Well, I don't watch that Game of Thrones actually.
Out of sight, out of mind, man. Okay. Okay. Anything else, Ram? Anything else you'd like to lay on?
No, keep going. Keep going.
Ram's got material. Don't worry about it.
Keep going.
But so talk me through. I mean, what happened? Well, what happened immediately afterwards? Because I've seen teams lose before, and some teams take it well, some teams don't. What's the mood in the Fusion camp?
Well, immediately after, I probably had to console at least 4 or 5 of my either teammates or staff because they were in tears because of how I took it probably the best out of anybody just because I'm used to losing and whatnot. No, but it's like I knew that I had been there and done it, and I needed to be there for my teammates because they were taking it much harder. So immediately after, everybody was sad. I was just trying to make everybody happy or whatnot, and it's whatever. We'll just get it next time or whatever. But I was sad too. We were all just really down, and immediately after it sucked for a couple of days, yeah. And then we all kind of flew home for Christmas, and now we're getting back to business.
Did you have time to sort of talk about what you guys felt went wrong? Have you identified what the problem was?
Yeah, immediately after we decided what our plans would be going forward, as far as roster goes, as far as qualifying for the LCS next time goes. And that's all been discussed and that's been finalized, and I don't think I can reveal that yet.
Yeah.
But decision has been made, so yeah. I can say that I will be sticking with Fusion into the next Challenger split that we've qualified for. Yeah.
Well, that's good, man, because I was wondering if people were going to come knocking, because regardless of how things went for the team overall, you played really well. Some would say the best of your career.
I don't know. That kind of depends on who you talk to. As far as me playing well, I thought Nien really stepped it up. I thought Nien played phenomenally the entire set.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought Puhi also played really well. Absolutely no complaints with how he played at all. I really enjoy playing with him. I hope I get to keep playing with him. I think our mid-jungle synergy was definitely something that was probably one of our best aspects of the team. I think we played 14 games, and I don't think he died once in lane in any of those 14 games, which I think is kind of phenomenal for a mid laner because they tend to get ganked a lot. So yeah, that was good. There were a lot of positives, but it does kind of suck coming so close, I guess.
So, I mean, has there been any changes in terms of the funding and stuff that goes into Fusion? I mean, do you guys take salary cuts? Do you guys still have the gaming house? Because it's a huge investment for a team that's outside of LCS.
No, I mean, as far as this goes. No, everything's still the same. Fusion. I'm pretty sure Fusion didn't really expect to have like immediate success, and we kind of did. Their plan was like to qualify this upcoming split really, because if you remember when I joined Fusion, which was in like late October, the first round of expansion was coming up like really soon, so we had to pull our shit together really fast, and I don't think they were really prepared to like get our shit all together that soon. So I think their plan was kind of like let's go at this for a year, and by the end of the year we'll be good. So hopefully by this next upcoming split, like we'll be able to qualify for the LCS, and I feel like we will be able to.
And just some final thoughts. I mean, what about your rivals? That were in there. I mean, no complaints. Do you think Coast and Curse Academy deserve to make it to the promised land, or do you think it should have been different?
I have no complaints with Curse Academy going through. I think they're going to be. I think they'll easily be a middle of the pack team, and depending on how well they work, they could definitely keep building as a team and get really good. As far as Coast goes, I think they have a lot more work to be done, and I don't think we should have went in over them. They were the better team, but it still does sting losing to Coast because the team I played on for a year and a half. It's kind of where I got into LCS with. It just kind of sucks losing to them, I guess.
Number 17. MacNoon died so much he could feed Africa for a year.
Nice meme.
Comment. I don't even know what to say to that. Like I don't want to rag on any of my teammates that entire set because we all had our ups, we had our downs.
I actually lied. I don't have a list. This is just a random piece of paper.
Yeah, I assumed you didn't have a list, but as PR bullshit as it seems, like you win as a team, you lose as a team, and that's just the way it's got to be.
So I think Ram, any more?
I watched the games. I was honestly rooting for Fusion from the beginning. Like as much as I ragged on him just now, like I was so like hoping that they would get in, but I don't know, Kev. That's all I can really say. It seemed that things broke down a little bit. Just if we're talking like analytical point of view, just your strategies in game 1 and 2, you had a very specific strategy playing against Coast, and you outsmarted them with it. And also Mash built like the most useless item build known to man or something on Ezreal. I think that was one of the games, but then game 3 it seemed like they figured you out a little bit and they kind of executed it properly.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it would have been a disaster if Coast hadn't, though, in a way. Hang on, sorry, what were you going to say, Josh?
Game 3, I think we kind of beat ourselves. There was one dragon play that comes to mind where we called to go for dragon, and we got like 3-0'd at the dragon and then lost the dragon itself, and that was like really, really bad because we just completely threw our advantage. And I think that's the first time we had made like a bad mid-game call the entire set. Up to that point, I think we were winning the early, winning the mid-game, and we had our struggles in the late game really, but I think that was the first time that entire set we like made a big mistake early game. I have no idea why Ram's laughing. But
I think he's looking at the chat where someone's a guy called Trap113 posted MacNoon died so much he could feed Brokenshard for an hour.
No, you need to look at Twitter. You need to look at Twitter. No. But actually, I sent Sam a picture on Skype. Basically, my face looks exactly the same as Zion's face after the IEM. If we could pull that on the stream, Sam, by any chance? Put that up there. That was basically my face after Fusion lost. It'll show in a second now. No, I just saw something funny on Twitter. Sorry. Just go on.
Yeah, so I like I said, I think it would have been a disaster if Coast didn't qualify. I said this, I think they were the ones that had the most to lose with all the investments they made, all the roster decisions, everything else that had been going on with them. I mean, a Fusion in a good place moving forward. Like, are you guys, confident that you can emulate, like a Curse Academy, like a Coast, you can, stick it, get through Challenger and actually get there in the end?
Yeah, because I think there's some interesting rumblings I've heard about the Challenger scene that might legitimize it a little more that they haven't announced yet. That is definitely a good sign. So I think that definitely plays in our favor. again, I'm not allowed to talk about any of that. So that definitely helps with us, wanting to stay together and Fusion wanting to stay in this and wanting to continue through the challenger scene rather than maybe sitting back and like looking for a team to buy or whatever. But yeah, I think we're in a good place, and it's just going to be getting back to the grind again, and just kind of doing what we did the 2 months prior, and just kind of doing that again, and hopefully this time it working out.
Right. So look, we can move away from the awkward individual interviews. This is it now.
Well, actually, just to bring up a counterpoint, you talk about Coast as like the team that really has to qualify because they've made so many changes.
Yeah.
And it would be a disaster if they didn't qualify. I mean, the same thing kind of happened in EU with Gamers 2. Like a team that has like technically put so much money into it and kind of fell short. So I mean, just by putting in so much doesn't mean that they're going to qualify. Just to bring up a counterpoint. And
But I agree. But I mean, everyone sat here now going, "Please, Gamers 2, just fucking end it. Just stop this." Like, just
there's some interesting things happening in Gamers 2 that I've sort of heard like around the grapevine. We could talk about that later as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll definitely get into that. But first things first, we'll make sure we're all awake. We're all good to go. I want to talk about the two American teams at IEM Cologne. Let's start with Team Dignitas because you made a very good point, Josh. Maybe you won't want this point attributed to you, but it is your point. And that was when we were doing the pre-show. You said a lot of people were talking about how CLG suck, blah, blah, blah. No one really brought up how poor Dignitas looked.
They almost lost to a Turkish team. Like, well, okay, it was like what 2 Turks and like 3 German people or something like that. But only one of those players on that team was Challenger. Like only one player was like actually in Challenger. The rest was, I think there was like a Diamond 1 player on that team. And Dignitas almost lost to that team.
Yeah,
I think they brought in 2 subs as well.
Yeah, 2 last-minute subs as well. Like that should say a lot.
Like it was. I didn't see the first game where apparently Dignitas won. I don't know if they won handily or whatever, but I think I tuned in like halfway through game 2 and then I saw all of game 3, and it looked like on game 3, like early game, Dignitas was getting crushed by like a team that wasn't so good, and it's like I think a lot of that has to do with like bad communication and whatnot, and maybe it says something about like maybe the Koreans aren't fitting in so well. I mean, I don't think Core JJ played all that well, in my opinion, the entire set. My mid laner, Huhi, played with him on Big File Miracle, and Huhi talked him up a lot. Like, he was like, Core JJ was the best player on our team. He was so good. So I was like, wow, Dignitas, they're going to be pretty solid. But Core didn't exactly wow me at all. He played okay. And just as a whole, Dignitas didn't seem to really mesh that well together. So maybe they just need more time. I don't know, but my immediate thought was like CLG, like they looked okay, but Dignitas they looked like they're going to be a bottom of the LCS team.
Well, one thing that really surprised me, I think it speaks more towards the way the other team played, was that CLG actually did take down Roccat, who I myself and a lot of people put up to be the team that would take the entire tournament. And a lot of it might be from just, I think Roccat kind of started breaking a little bit apart after the second game. But I mean, regardless, CLG had a pretty impressive performance against Roccat, and no one is really talking about that. And the games versus Gambit, although incredibly fucking sloppy, they were fairly close. I mean, all 4 games.
Well, hold off on CLG for just a moment. Let's stay focused on Dignitas. Christopher, you played against Dignitas. We mentioned that a little bit earlier in the show. What was it like? I mean, was that an easy game? Like, to talk us through what you thought of the Dignitas team.
Please say easy game, easy life.
No, it was not easy, but our goal against Dignitas was to catch Crumbs out, because like Crumbs is a greedy jungler that wants to, like, he doesn't care if there's a pink ward, he will kill it, and that's why we tried to pick like a pick comp and just try to abuse him as much, and that got us into a lead. But they played better against us than they did against the Turkish team or the mixed team or whatever. But like, I don't know. I just felt bad for Shifter because he was pretty much 1v9 in that whole series.
Oh my god. Here we go again.
Yeah, but a lot of people did make that point. That Shifter, was this new meme that we're getting into, the 1v9. That was talked about quite a lot. What are your thoughts, Josh, as someone that knows Shifter?
Well, I don't think Josh
Uh,
knows much about it because Shifter never spoke to him. Okay.
Oh my god. Here we go with the memes again. But
Hey.
I mean, kind of watching, I kind of jokingly tweeted out like when Shifter was playing well, like, oh, this is what people have been talking about the whole team. Shifter 1v9, ha ha ha. But I mean, it it's only true in the aspect that like when I feel like when the rest of the team isn't going so hot, he definitely stepped up and looked to make plays when he was on like LeBlanc and Zed and whatnot. And I think that's where he's best suited. Like when he's on LeBlanc, Zed, Ari, he's phenomenal. He can, pull his team out of ruts. He can kind of get his team back into the game. And I think that kind of shone through in a couple of the games. I think in the game 3 they had against the Turkish team, I think he made a couple really good plays. I think he was LeBlanc that game. And he just pulled his team out of it. And like, yeah, he did kind of carry that game just by him. He was making plays. It wasn't Crumbs making plays. It wasn't Kiwi Kid making plays. It wasn't Gamsu. It was him. Like he was around the map. He was. It just that's what all I can really get from it. I think Shifter, he's a phenomenal player when he's on these assassins. I just really don't think he's that good of a player when he's forced onto these like farm mages.
I mean, you think he was forced to do it, or do you think it was, his like kind of, idea? Like
he got to play assassins all tournament, didn't he?
He played one Israel game against us.
There's an interesting statistic somewhere that a guy called Veteran just gave me, is that Shifter actually loses more games when he's playing a counter pick. Like when they give him the last pick to counter pick a mid lane. But when they blind pick his mid lane, he wins more games. Statistically, if you give Shifter a counter pick, they lose more games.
Wow.
That's an interesting statistic. Like, what do you guys make of that?
Well, yeah, that sounds right there. It's like, I mean, again, I don't know what's going on in the team dynamic wise to be like, if they're saying you've got to take the counter, whereas, in a lot of teams, we know that certain players will just stick to with their comfort picks. They'll have a safe pick, something like, an Orianna or whatever in the mid lane, like a go-to champ that you can be safe with, just farm and be useful late game, no matter how things go in lane. So I don't know if he's being pressured by elements within the team to take the counter, go aggressive, and win the lane, or whether it's something he's doing because he genuinely believes he doesn't need a champ pool. He doesn't need. He can play any champ. I don't know if that's like the arrogance of the player or a team dynamic thing.
I don't think it's arrogance at all. I think a lot of with the statistic that Rand brought up, now that I think about it, is a lot of his kind of like counter picks tend to be like comfort picks for him. And that might, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, for example, one counter pick I think he had, I don't think it was in this series, but what he used to do a while back was into Orianna, he would counter pick it with Ari. And that's like an okay match. It's like a 50-50 matchup, I think. I don't think it's like a hard counter pick. Like, Ari's not going to bully that lane. But it's something he's very comfortable on, and like he feels he's going to do really well on, so he'll pick it. But it doesn't always turn out that way, and therefore it's not really like a hard counter pick. It's kind of still like a toss-up.
A lot of the criticism that he also gets is that he plays too passive when he has a lead, but in a few of the games where Dignitas were, I guess, even or behind, I saw him go really, really aggressive with the Ari specifically and try to make plays. And I felt that he was kind of one of the only players really keeping Dignitas floating.
Yeah, he was. Again, that the thing that I keep looking at is remembering is like the game 3 they had against the Turkish team, and they were like down 3K. And it just felt like he just like kind of dug them out of the hole somehow, and they just like randomly won in 30 minutes or something.
He just like put like him and he like I think he forced Krubs to ward over walls, and he just kept picking people off one by one, and they were never able to like make any objectives because they were always down one guy. Is basically what happened. And one thing that actually I'm really happy to see is that change with Shifter is that he is making these aggressive plays, because when his team would fall behind, or when Dignitas fell behind, specifically in the NALCS when they did play, it felt like Shifter kind of just went into farm mode and played way too conservative and just like, all right, let's keep my KDA up. But specifically in the games against Gambit, he wasn't really afraid to die. In one team fight, which Dignitas actually lost, but started off actually really good for them, was he Charm flashed in to like 4 people to insta-kill one guy, which is not something that old Shifter would have never done if his team was behind.
I think I've played on a team with them, but would you guys think that maybe another factor in it is that The reason he struggled so much, I guess, to make plays last split is because it's very hard to have Zion and Shifter work in the same team. Like the way I see it is so Shifter, I think he's best, and I think he proved that like way back when he first rejoined GGU or Coast, when he's on like Zed and Ari in the stuff that makes plays. But on the contrary, Zion's best when he's like, split pushing, doing his thing. So it's best for the rest of his team to like chill out and just like kind of ward for him. So in my opinion, their two best play styles kind of clashed a little bit. And I think it might be better for like both of them to not be on a team together almost.
Yeah, that makes
This
a
is
lot of
just pure
sense.
speculation, and like this, it's just pure speculation. I guess we'll have to see how this season ends up. But even playing with the both of them, I noticed that a lot too. Was like you can't really have both of them. You
Pinoy,
can't really have both of those play styles.
Pinoy, did you notice anything about Gamzu when you played against him? Anything that you kind of figured from him when you played? Like, how do you rate him as a player?
I think he looked good in the what they call the first series they played in the quarterfinal, but against us, I think Kabushad got a really huge lead on him. I don't know how, but he was like 40 CS ahead after 15 minutes, and I don't think he played that good in RCs, but I don't know where to rate him because it was like he was the first series he was playing really well, and in the second series against us he was not playing so good. So I don't know how where to balance it, where his level at.
I
Gamzu was the sub of what team again? What team was
Us-
Looper on?
He was a
He was
Samsung
a
sub.
he was a Samsung sub. So a lot of people were claiming him to be like Looper light in a way, like a similar playstyle to Looper. Do you think that kind of player, like let's say he does get better and they do start meshing well, is gonna be better for Shifter? Because I've always thought that Shifter was gonna be like had to be the hard carry of any team he's on. Just kind of like what Josh was saying, what a lot of people were saying, that if he's forced out the shit like Ziggs, then he's not really gonna shine. But when he gets to be the hard carry, then he does shine. So you think that Gamzu's gonna be the top laner that meshes well with Shifter and lets him be that hard carry?
Well, not based on that performance against Gambit. I mean, there was some pretty sucky games in there, and I don't know, dude. I think we're starting to find out that actually a lot of these top Koreans, they seem to play better with Koreans than they do with non-Koreans. Like we've seen some pretty disappointing performances from players with big, rightfully big reputations. A lot of hype behind them. Gamsu's is a great player, like you say. A lot of people talk about him as Looper light. Then he goes 0 for fucking 6 on Gnar. It's
I mean,
pretty poor performance overall, whichever way you slice it. The Rumble wasn't much better either.
I mean, that's kind of a. I don't think you can just like assume if they're a sub for like a top team, then their sub is gonna play exactly like that player plays. Like, I don't know. I can't. I don't think it's fair to assume like, okay, well, since Gamsu was the sub for Samsung, then he's just gonna be a Looper light. There's gonna like people just have their own play styles. I don't think it's. Maybe he will.
Yeah,
play
no,
like a Looper,
I
don't know.
agree. But what I'm talking about is the way other people talked about, this player. Like everyone was, everyone who was, again, obviously you've got to try and cut through a lot of bullshit because there's a lot of people that unnecessarily idolize Koreans. And, but this was a guy that everyone was like, oh, this is a great signing for Team Dignitas. This is actually one of the best signings that's been made in the off season. I'll tell you, I watched OGN once, and this is going to be big for Team Dignitas.
Well,
this is the shit people were saying, and I saw a very ordinary top laner in that series against Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Richard. It's just people hyping up Koreans and nothing else. What video evidence do we really have of Gamsu? I mean, he's played very well in NA solo queue. That's great, but there's a lot of great NA solo queue players that wouldn't just like instantly be a great LCS player. It's all going to come down to like how he meshes with the team and whatnot. And he's already kind of at a disadvantage because I mean, English isn't his native language. It's probably going to be a tough transition. So maybe it gets better, maybe it doesn't. But a lot of it is people just unnecessarily hyping up a Koreans like, oh well, he's great. He fucking subbed for Samsung. That must mean he's like a world's caliber sub, like not necessarily if you never had to play,
All right, let's talk about the one thing that might be a little bit controversial to talk about is where we talk bad
Right.
about players. Crumbs and Kiwi looked about as underwhelming as always. They didn't look like they got any particular
Nice
better
meme.
in the tournament. And even Pinoy said that their entire strategy was revolved around catching and taking advantage of Crumbs' greedy playstyle out. And I'm going to thank the guy in the chat who brought that up because I actually didn't cross my mind. So you know who you are. Thank you.
Crumbs is a bit of an enigma to me. You know, he got really, he like really picked his game up, I think, towards the end, like of the last split, if I remember rightly, and correct me if I'm wrong. But he seemed to improve as kind of the team collectively started to get worse, which, you know, I don't know if that is a testament to how things were breaking down within Team Dignitas, or whether Crumbs is, you know, as ineffective as a lot of people thought he was. But he stood out as being quite poor for a long time for me before he raised his you know, individual level of play. In this series, you know, I think Christopher hit the nail on the head. You know, he's saying he was a greedy jungler, quite predictable. They built a strat around him, and it really showed. You know, his Kha'Zix was, I mean, again, underwhelming to say the least. I think he went 0-5. Then what did he play in the other game?
Rengar.
That was it. Rengar, and went 1-6. So this is a guy who took some, you know, impact junglers there and had no impact. You know, and I think that Crumbs in particular is going to look at that performance and think, you know what, I needed to do more. And certainly for me, I think he did.
Yeah. Honestly, it was kind of weird because in the first set against the Turkish team, he had like a really good Rengar game, and then he had like a horrible Lee Sin game, which is just like exactly what you don't expect from Crumbs. I thought Crumbs always struck me as like one of those typical, you know, NA Rengar players. You know, they're so bad at Rengar. He had a kind of underwhelming Rengar last split from what I remember, and then he like had like a wishy-washy Rengar this tournament, I guess. I think he played a really good one, game one, but then had like a bad Lee Sin, which was really weird because like isn't that Crumbs' champion, like Lee Sin? I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. But I'm kind of more willing to give Kiwi Kid the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he played all that poorly, and having to kind of get some synergy with Core. But it's kind of hard to give Crumbs that same benefit. Having like he still has Shifter there. I mean, he's still got his mid laner, and that's where most of the synergy's at, in my opinion, is mid jungle. So, and he still, I guess they're early game and whatnot, they look to play pretty poorly in like the entire set.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dignitas got problems. You know, moving forward, they were always gonna take time to gel. But for me, the question mark should be the Koreans that are coming in, not the existing players that have re-signed, that you're building the team around. You know, those guys are meant to be the bedrock. I have never felt Kiwi Kid, like, since he moved to support, I can't think of a player that's underwhelmed me more in American LCS. Like, I think it's one of those moves that should never happen. Odie always says, and he says it every time we bring this up, Kiwi Kid is fucking quality. You know, Cutie Pie raved about him when he retired, but I'm not feeling it at all. I still don't see him as a top level support.
I would have to agree with you.
I don't know. I mean, I guess.
What's the matter, Josh?
I guess, and like you guys have limited exposure and whatnot, but like scrimming against Dignitas and whatnot, he's not that bad. I mean, maybe he has some jitters on the big stage. I don't know. I just don't think he plays that poorly. But maybe I'm just seeing the glass half full. You're seeing it half empty.
Jitters. I don't think he's capable of jitters. Like, he's always got that sloppy grin on his face whenever you see him. I don't think this is a player who gets nervous. I don't think he's cognizant of what's going on a lot of the time. You know, that's how he strikes me as a player. So I'm gonna discount the nerves theory on that basis. I think ultimately, come
like to be fair, from what I'm saying is, I like honestly didn't watch this tournament all that closely. I just kind of caught the highlights of a lot of this tournament, so I didn't really look that in depth into how Kiwi played. But I think he played okay. I don't think he played horrible. Like, he didn't look at his worst at all this tournament. He wasn't just getting caught all day. Like, I guess that's kind of a step up. But I don't know. I guess
yeah, don't get me wrong. After watching some of the support play in the NA expansion tournament, like fucking roulette, whatever the fuck, like
Roulette.
Oh man.
Holy shit! I mean, like, yeah. To be fair, anything looks good after that, but yeah. So, Christopher, what did you think about Kiwi Kids and just Dignitas in general? I mean, do you think they're going to struggle in LCS next season?
Depends on how they like work with those Koreans, because from my point of view, they had like a lot of lack of communication or whatever they wanted to do. But in what it's called, Kiwi Kid in particular, I didn't feel much pressure playing against him. It was more like in the first game we played against him, there was just a lot of jungle and mid pressure from their side. So I was just playing passive. But in the second game, I didn't feel pressured at all playing against him. He played. I don't. It was kind of just a passive support, not trying to get caught and just try to do the regular support stuff. But he didn't apply as much pressure as, I don't know, like Edward does for me. So maybe it's just his playstyle, but that's okay, because people have different playstyles, and if they prefer the passive playstyle, and then that's good for them. But you just gotta find what's more comfortable for you.
Okay. So we'll move on to our next topic, and we've got a picture to go with it. Sam, I'll let you bring it up. We're going to move on to one of our favorite topics on this show, CLG, and in particular Link, obviously, which we always love to look at. The judges
Oh man, Link sure shut Reddit up for that one game. I think Link thought he was playing Hearthstone the entire game or something like that.
Oh my god.
We did bring the Hearthstone thing was brought up. I think Thorin made a great tweet along those lines during the tournament. He said CLG had to use a stand-in. They had to use one of their Hearthstone players, and then he just hashtag all the jokes afterwards. So he's kind of stole your meme-related thunder there. But you can see that this is from Dentist, by the way. Again, Dentist, who always does our artwork. He's a great guy. Follow him on Twitter. But I got to say, CLG, when they made it to the final, I thought, yeah, probably they're gonna win this. And then they put in. I mean, don't get me wrong. I all credit to Gambit Gaming, but I thought CLG were fairly poor, all told. And they showed their old selves a little bit. I mean, I don't really know where to start picking them apart, so I'll let you guys do it. You're the players. Ram, I'm sure you've got things to say.
Link played like shit.
Nice meme.
Zion Spartan tried to make a rock float. After Moo was a little bit inconsistent, which is really unlike him. Double Lift was okay, and Think Card was Think Card.
So let's okay. Well,
I will admit, Think Card performed a lot better than I thought he would, and that took a lot to say.
Well, let's focus on Link, because this is the big talking point. Everyone was talking about how Link sucks again. I mean, is this now a case of people saying it just for the sake of saying it? Because he had some good games earlier in the tournament. I think his Syndra was effective. In the final, it wasn't like he had consistently terrible games. He had games where he was poor. He did have terrible games, but he also had some games where he was good. So in other words, it's the same old inconsistent Link, and that for me isn't necessarily as damning as being completely shit the entire time. Being inconsistent is almost forgivable in a way, because you're going to get that one good game, that one brilliant game. In fact, what he was criticized for, most vociferously by other pundits, was that he never hit the brilliance. He was either average or bad. Well, he did have some brilliant games this tournament. By definition, surely that's an improvement.
Yeah, but I mean, good is never good enough when it comes to the comes to this community. I mean, they still see, because CLG did this thing where they put Link on this pedestal, right? They're like, Link is so smart, he's so good, he's so knowledgeable, and people are like, where? Like, what are you talking about? Because like they don't see it, and I mean, as someone who watches, who would be only purely a spectator, it's kind of hard to disagree with that. I mean, from what I do know about Link, I do know he's very smart and whatnot, but I mean, it hasn't been showing. So I think the CLG faithful kind of have a right to be like, why do we keep putting up with this shit? You know, why do we keep giving him chances? Uh, but I mean, from what I know about Link, it's kind of hard to disagree with CLG that they could find somebody better. But I don't I don't have a whole lot to say about this because I do think Link's very good, and it's kind of like all the Hearthstone jokes and that shit. I think people just say it for the sake of fucking saying it because I think they're funny. But I don't know. Like, do you guys think that CLG could find a better mid laner than Link? And like, if so, who?
I think that that's absolutely a given at this point, and I think here's the problem. So it's a little bit difficult for me as well, Josh, because like you, I've got knowledge that kind of prejudices my opinion, if you like. I can't just assess it on the performance. I can't just look at a game and go, okay, objectively, I am watching a player I know nothing about, and now I'm going to assess the performance because, unfortunately, I know a lot about his mindset, about the way he behaves within the team. Obviously players talk to me. That's one of the things that allows me to be good at my job. And they've all said the same thing, that Link is monstrously arrogant. It isn't fun to work with, to play with. Has this like unwavering belief in himself, which I think can be good when harnessed and utilized correctly. But when you're clearly underperforming, it's actually detrimental to you because you live in this bubble where actually it's everyone else's fault. It's not me because I'm amazing. My brain tells me so. And I think that's been an ongoing factor in his inability to improve. I think we're now at the stage where everyone's asking questions of Link, but Link. And that's the problem in itself.
Yeah.
If he was to be a little bit more critical of himself and realize that, there's a reason why people talk about him spamming Hearthstone. You're right. At this point, the people who are saying it, they've got no idea how much he plays the game. But the people internally that started that joke, there's no smoke without fire. You know that when players start talking about other people's predilections, how they occupy themselves, it's almost always true. And the reality is, this is a person that hasn't put in the practice, hasn't worked quite as hard as he could. And, he's at CLG. They're one of the fucking, landmark foundation brands in League of Legends. They're a team with this fantastic pedigree and history. And I don't know. I think he's become so embedded into the myth of CLG and Link, and he's had all of these chances that actually he doesn't really give a fuck anymore. I don't think he feels under pressure, and I think that's dangerous as well. Like, for me, he should have been put on notice. Like when Skara came in and Hotshot said, we're not going to make the same mistakes again. First thing you do fixing and rectifying the mistakes is you say to Link, right, no more bullshit, no more fucking dabbling with one game more than the other. You're on a fucking tryout from this point onwards, and you've got to win over your teammates. You've got to impress us again to cement your position. And apparently that didn't happen. Apparently, it was the opposite. He was told, yeah, you ain't going anywhere, even if we've got to move you to jungle. You create your own fucking problem, I think, in a team if you give a player that much leeway. And in a lot of ways, it's almost like it's a double lift light. So, I'm kind of at the point now where I think you need to cut the cancer out.
I mean, I really don't think that's what happened with Link. I don't think they said like, no, you're safe, man. I'm pretty sure he was put on trial, and like he wanted to try out for both jungle and mid, just because like he likes working with CLG, obviously, and I guess was willing to admit like, okay, like maybe if I'm not good enough for mid lane, then I'll play jungle. But I think CLG legitimately thought they couldn't find a better mid laner than Link, and they did try him out and tried other people out. Because I remember back to, I think it was like some interview with, some like CLG interview when they were in like, I think they were in Texas for some reason. They were talking about like their tryouts. They're like, yeah, we have 2 people in mind for jungle, 2 people in mind for mid. And I think like one of those people at each role was probably Link. So I think either way they probably were going to go with Link, but it was just kind of a matter of like the other player would be. And I think that is because CLG legitimately felt like they couldn't find a better option than Link at another player, which maybe that is personal bias. I don't know, but I guess we'll never know. But I think maybe bias has a little bit to do with it, but I do think that maybe there's a chance that Link was the best player for the role. I mean, we'll never know.
Well, I mean, again, I can't believe that there was this potential to bring in Koreans, right?
Yeah.
Again, the saviors, right? There was top Koreans being touted around. All they wanted was the money. Half of them have ended up in fucking China, and most of them preferred. They wanted a slice of American pie. There were options. CLG got linked with a bunch. There was talk about it. There was talk about them getting some junglers. It didn't come to pass. And
Yeah,
I think that isn't because they don't have the resources, because they do. And I think that isn't because they couldn't attract players because of their history, pedigree, branding, because we know they have that. I think this was literally, they sat down and said, you know what? This is it. This is going to be Link's split finally. It's definitely going to happen. Because look, he's doing so good in practice. This time it'll definitely click. And lo and behold, we go to another tournament and he underperforms again.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with you there that they probably sat down and were like, yeah, we're not going to go through with another Korean again. We saw how Seraph went. Fuck that. So, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of all this, and maybe this will be Link split. That's kind of the question now, but
Well, at this point, it's got to be Josh. I'll bring in the other two. Ram, Christopher, what are your thoughts on Link and his performance at IEM, and more importantly, what it means for CLG in the next split? Do we now say that Link is never going to be the player CLG fans want him to be?
I think in the series against Rocket, Link were actually looking pretty good, and he also said himself that he actually wanted to prove himself because everyone have been shit talking Link in the NA last split. So in the game against us, he was really underwhelming. Like he didn't perform any good, I would say, as the person I saw play against Rocket. I don't know. It's just inconsistency as you were talking about, and I think if he picks it up, and I don't know Link as a person, and then I don't know how he works towards the game, so I can't really comment on that. But I think if he actually really wants it, and CLG actually gives a fuck about it, and actually like make him motivate himself more to just focus on playing League and play good consistently, he was a good player because I remember him as like the Link I saw when he was subbing for Cloud9 at All-Star were actually looking pretty good, and he always did some great plays that I didn't expect of him, but just towards the end of the split he didn't look as good. So I just think if Links pick up his game and just focus on it, he can be a pretty good player, and I hope it for him, of course, for this next upcoming split. And also that CLG actually, like, I don't know if they're too soft around him.
Ram, any thoughts on Link? I mean, you've been vocal about this in the past.
Your mic is muted.
Mike's muted, Ram.
Come on, Ram.
What's happened? I've been vocal about it in the past, but very little has changed. It seems that it's a combination of attitude, motivation, and just a lot of hyping him up and him just not delivering. Like he delivered one good game. Like I will admit, the LeBlanc game was a very good LeBlanc game out of the entire series the entire tournament that they did play. Which is concerning when you're supposed to be playing at the top, and CLG obviously, after having these allegations of poaching Skara and possibly Zion as well, they kind of invested a lot to try to get first or to get top I don't think that Link is the right guy for that job. Like, I guess he's okay if you want middle of the pack or bottom of the pack, but not to reach that #1 spot or to be a top NA team.
And like I say, for me, when I say cut the cancer out, that isn't even necessarily to say Link couldn't fit into another team or Link couldn't be a top player on another team. But there is this element within CLG where I think certain players are way too comfortable and they know they're not going to go anywhere. And they know that ultimately they're always going to do just enough. And their reputations are almost going to be preserved by this myth that gets perpetuated. And it just, I think you need to shake that up. You need to break that short, sharp shock treatment. One of my regular Twitter followers, Scrambled Scribbles, says CLG need to learn what the definition of insanity is. And what he means by that is, of course, the famous quote, which is attributed to Albert Einstein, which is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So, I'm not sold on the Link thing. We've talked about it before. I think he's had way more chances than any other player would have got. I think, in this in the current climate of LCS, where you have to succeed today, you've got to be good today. If you go on a run of games where you underperform, you're going to get dropped. Link has been insulated from that pressure, and I don't think that's been a good thing for him or for CLG. To pick up on some other performances in CLG before we go into the break, let's talk about Zion Spartan. Played well, and like you said, Ram wasn't able to carry his team, but promising signs from him that after everything that happened, the poaching allegations, from Team Dignitas and everything else, managed to fill that void and do something that Seraph never managed to do. Agreed? Not agreed?
Sure, I guess. I feel that we've talked so much on this subject and very little has changed. Yeah, I think is what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit disinterested, but that's just basically the way I feel about the
yeah, but now we've actually got evidence. It was all speculation before, but now we know. I guess. Zion Spartan can play well within this team, just not well enough to carry.
Zion looked good a lot of the games. They did use a lot of resources to get him ahead, but that's kind of what you get when you get a reliable player, get him ahead, and he kind of does wonders for your team with the Jax, which is like a Zion Spartan champion. But I guess I would agree with you. Yeah, sure.
Okay. No one else want to add anything to Zion? Come on, Josh, you must want to. Wax lyrical about this guy.
I was kind of unimpressed by the fact that Zion seemed to get outperformed by Brokenshard, I think, right? Your top laner, Brokenshard?
Yeah.
I was expecting Zion to be the best top laner in this tournament easily, just because I think he's the most experienced. He's known to be a hard carry, and his competition would have been like Overpow, who just switched to top lane, and then Brokenshard, which I believe he played on the NIP team before this, and they didn't do so well. So at the same time, Brokenshard did kind of impress me because he did play very well, but I was just expecting Zion to be better, and he wasn't. So I still think Zion's going to do very well, but I was expecting a little more out of him. I guess that's what happens when, I don't know, I just have high expectations of him because he's phenomenal.
So we'll talk about Think Card. It nearly killed Ram to say something good about him. I mean, he wasn't great or anything.
But he wasn't shit.
Yeah.
For most of the time.
Yeah. And I thought he had some relatively safe picks anyway. I think taking Nunu.
Well, we target him a lot as well, so.
Yeah?
Like as purple side, we banned 3 junglers, and as blue side, we tried to get Lee Sin as first pick, so. I think Lee Sin and Jarvan was his most played, and we just didn't want to play against the Pantheon because Pantheon is just like there's so much pressure from a Pantheon at level 6, and it's just it doesn't really require skill to play it. So we just wanted as much pressure away from him, and so I think he did pretty well for CLG because he was just like, okay, I'm just gonna fit in. I'm just gonna play Elise and I'm just gonna play Nunu and try to buff double if we get some towers. We focus on the objective. So I think he did all right compared to that we took 3 junglers away from him.
Yeah. I mean, what about his? Were you worried about him in particular? Like, do you guys think he's so good at, potentially that good a jungler that you felt you had to isolate him, or was it just a general tactic? Because obviously you did it for Dignitas as well.
We just did it because I don't know. When you're a new guy and uncomfortable, it can put you out of the game quite hard. So, and Diamond was actually analyzing how he did or how he played against Rocket, what his paths were, and he just came up with the idea what we should do.
I mean,
that's exactly what. Just in all fairness, that's exactly what teams did to EG when he was playing for EG. They just counter jungled the shit out of him, and he was like almost a non-factor in any game. Like he just couldn't get back into the game, no matter what he did, and he always seemed to be making the wrong decision. So that seems to be a very tested and proven strategy against that player.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting him to like do better than Diamond, and I mean, he just kind of met expectations for me. He'd be okay, but he wouldn't be able to be better than Diamond or anything. So I'm kind of indifferent about Thinkard, but he played okay.
There's some guy spamming the chat, so we'll bring this up just for him, and then we'll go to break. He keeps saying he wants to bring up ManCloud and CLG.
Why?
Well, I think his theory is that CLG should get ManCloud. So there you go. I did it for you. Solely G. I did it for you. Cause I don't get the theory behind it, but I'm sure there's some rationale. Oh, here you go. He said, please bring up ManCloud not being signed to CLG. He had great synergy with X-Smithy on CLG.
When like a year and a half ago, he had great synergy with Smithy. Like, I mean,
I guess. I mean that's why the Romans still have such a strong empire.
Right.
It's nothing ever changes. So
but,
I don't know. Maybe ManCloud could be an answer. Maybe not.
I don't know. I feel like if you take in ManCloud, you just have. He plays a lot like Link, in my opinion. He plays his main champions like Orianna. He can like somewhat bust out a LeBlanc. He has like his moments of brilliance, but overall he just kind of plays passive and does okay. I mean, I don't think ManCloud would take that team to the promised land or anything. So.
Yeah. Well, according to Solely G, he's the best player available in NA right now.
I disagree. I think there's better mid laners available than ManCloud right now.
I'd say so.
Ram's muted again.
Yeah, Ram, you muted again. Come on, Ram, you're better than this.
Prototype Black is off a team. I guess there's that. The best that NA has to offer.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about that in the second half. But I think what we'll do is we'll wrap up the IEM Cologne talk, and again we will congratulate our conqueror Christopher, who's joined us. Of course, victorious there with Gambit Gaming, who won it for, what was it, the 6th time they won an IEM?
Yes.
Fucking crazy record. It's fucking like insane. Anyway, we'll go to a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna have you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the gossip section, where we're gonna talk about all the roster talk. So that's going to include Forbidden to Fnatic. That's going to include Ryu to H2K. What Dexter's doing, all the Fnatic problems in the off season. Are we going to see Soaz to Origin? So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more in about 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to First Blood. That was our short little interlude. We're going to be coming at you now with all of the transfer gossip and rumors that have been going on in a crazy off season that just keeps getting crazier and crazier. But first, come on, Ram.
What am I playing?
You know what?
Underwater.
How I play Enter Sandman. Oh, it's 1:30 in the morning, by the way, guys.
What? Oh,
I can't breathe.
What the fuck are you doing, Ram?
Should have played Smoke on the Water.
Oh my god. Oh fuck. Right.
Oh.
It was totally worth it.
No. So I got my baby fixed today. This is my baby. This is my one true love, my Gibson. The strings are still fucking rusted, but I got the pickups rescrewed in, so I finally got to play guitar again after 6 months, and I suck dick. I'll just make that absolutely clear. I suck so much dick. This is what happens when you don't touch a guitar for 6 months.
Look, it's okay. No one was rating your performance. I think people just wanted to stop for obvious reasons. Anyway, right. So fuck. That's thrown me for a loop. That has. Let's start with H2K. Ram, you were with them during their glorious journey into the LCS. They had a pretty good player once upon a time, a chap called Forbiven.
First, let's talk about one thing that's actually number 15 on the list.
Right, go on.
I made LCS and Nintendude didn't. It appears
Yes,
we
you
have
did.
bigger-
Again.
Again. But Ram, of
Yeah.
course, you won't be playing. You know.
No.
Again.
I'm not.
So they used to have a player called Forbiven. We asked you on this show before, only a few weeks ago, and I said this Fnatic to picking up Forbiven thing seems kind of real to me, and you went absolutely not. It's bullshit. And then you shouted like Forbiven, you're not Johnny Fnatic, are you? And then you went no, and then you went see, he said no, guys, and then Prolly was like, he's not even in the room, Ram. So what the fuck was going on? Why did you lie to me, Ram?
I don't know what you're talking. Okay. So this is actually a really uncomfortable position that you're putting me in.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to put
Remember
you in
this.
a
In my
position.
defense, when you asked me that, I actually didn't know.
Okay.
I was talking out of my ass, but rumors are saying that Forbiven is going to Fnatic.
Well, it's a sign. It's
Oh,
signed.
shit.
It's a done deal.
Okay, I'm not with H2K. Like, I have not contracted
Yeah.
to H2K. I was just assisting them. After we made LCS, it was like basically like, all right, congratulations, peace. I don't know I actually do know the details, but I can't really talk about it.
Well, okay. Let me put this out there. I'm sure no one's going to mind at this point, but it was all done before the expansion tournament. Effectively, I think people were worried it might distract him, and he may underperform, and it may have impacted on H2K getting into LCS. Which, I agree, that's not an ideal situation.
Okay,
for
so-
H2K at all.
So basically, what I've heard,
Mhm.
what I've heard is that it had been something that has been happening for a long time. That Fnatic have been speaking with Forbiven to pick him up.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure how long it's been happening, but I also heard a rumor. This is actually a rumor for one of that he actually had a deal with the H2K members, or not the H2K members, the H2K management, that if he wanted to go, he could go. Like, that they couldn't hold him. Like, he would play the expansion, but if he wanted to leave, he could. Which kind of confuses me, because I personally think that it's a lot of pressure for a young kid to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the shoes that he's filling. Like, it's basically a similar situation that NIQ is being put in. NIQ was put in. The NIQ came in to fill in Alex's shoes, where Alex was considered like a godly mid laner back then. Obviously, that's not the case now, and anybody who looks at it now will see and say that oh wow, NIQ is way better than Alexich, but I mean the guy has to live up to Expeke. Like
Yeah.
I don't know anybody, let alone like an actual veteran professional player or an upcoming new star, who would be able to comfortably deal with that pressure, especially someone who's been known to choke/tilt.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a real interesting thing because this is a guy who's been wanting to go to Fnatic for a while. He has said, several sources have reported this, that he feels he'll get more exposure on Fnatic, that it's a big brand. But right now, Fnatic are a fucking mess. They're a mess. We don't even know what their final 5 is going to be.
I heard that Reignover or something is going.
Yeah. We'll come at the final 5. We'll stay on Forbidden. But I mean, if you were a player, why would you want to take that risk? You could end up playing with absolute dog shit, whereas H2K actually look quite good. In the expansion tournament, and the team, and you're settled there. So it seems a bit of a gamble, actually.
I don't know, I think he really wanted to play with Yellowstar. I think that's one of the big things. That Yellowstar is still on Fnatic, and I don't blame him for wanting to play with Yellowstar. The guy is, a fucking amazing support. Good luck finding another quality support like Yellowstar somewhere else. But the publicity, the paycheck...
Yeah, but with that publicity, man... Right, first of all, Expeke, everyone loves him. Right, so you've got big shoes to fill. Yeah. Then, second of all, you're a Fnatic mid laner. It's a bit different to being that guy on H2K. Different.
He wasn't. Okay. Here's the thing. He wasn't that guy on H2K. Febiven was the huge impact player on almost every team that he's been playing on, which just so happens to be H2K and C9E. But he's kind of been the star player. I don't doubt that he's going to play well on Fnatic. What I'm considering is, why would you leave personally? I think I might get a lot of hate for saying this, but I saw H2K having a lot of potential to being close to what C9 could have been. A challenger team coming into LCS and with a right support staff, with the right management, dominating or pulling great results in their first split. I wouldn't say as good as C9, which was 3 losses or something in their first actual split. Some ridiculously low number. But that kind of dominance. The lineup is stacked. Odoamne, I think, is making a good enough statement to be one of the top laners in EU. Hjarnan, who may have had a bad performance in the last games, I think that was a very uncharacteristic performance of him. Is a fucking fantastic AD carry. And I think a lot of people are going to underrate him now because of what they saw, and he's going to impress a lot of people. Voidal, who has only a few problems to fix before being a good support, and Lulex, who has ridiculously good mechanical skill. All he really needs to do is fix decision-making, and Febiven. That team was stacked. And if they had a good support staff, what Prawley was doing, working firsthand on that team, the support staff was, not to stroke my own dick for a second, but it was adequate, or more than adequate, giving a lot of the credit to Prawley, who did a huge chunk of the work and a lot of the improvement. I was more so assisting him. They could have gone really far, and that's what really confused me with all these Fnatic rumors. Okay, if you were talking about Fnatic, yeah, Fnatic's very good, but why would you leave those players?
So Christopher, what do you think about this? Because this is, there's kind of some parallels, not entirely. You yourself, you've moved into a team where you've had to fill big shoes, a big name player, a classic team, Gambit Gaming, and people were a little bit like, what's going on here? Forbidden has got a big reputation, but he's going to go through the same thing. He's going to move to Fnatic. He's going to fill Xpeke's shoes. How do you think he'll do, and do you think this is a good move for Fnatic?
I think he will do all right, but I'm actually not sure because I don't know how he will perform in the LCS stage, because every time I've seen in relegation playing against LCS teams or for qualifying, he has not been the greatest, I would say. Okay. But versus the challenger teams, he was doing quite okay, and in scrims, he had been playing pretty well. So I think it just takes a couple of weeks for him to pick it up, and he will be a really great mid laner, and I think he can, and he will handle the pressure that will be on him. just after a few weeks, but I don't see him why he would leave like what's called H2K, because like he has 2 players that he has been with for 1 year, and just I think just H2K as a team has a really good relationship to each other and are good friends. So I don't see why you would leave that. Depends on like what you want to prefer. If you wanna this big brand and the money, but if I were to personally just like make such a decision, I would take my friends, and because they were good players. Like I honestly think that H2K was gonna be a top 5 with Fibiven.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I think they're they're a good team, and well, I think you're probably going a little bit overboard comparing them to Cloud9. But again, I think they really could have done well if that team had stayed together. Josh, I'll quickly get your views. We are just talking about European trash.
No.
Obviously.
I actually, no. Like, I honestly had like, it's backtracking a little bit, but like
Yeah,
from
go
an
for it.
outsider's perspective, which is like kind of something I don't usually have. But since we're talking about Europe, like I don't really know a whole lot about like the inside and who knows who in that. But it just makes no sense to me that Febiven would be leaving for Fnatic from H2K. He's played with H2K in these at least Odwamne, Hjarnan, and Voidal. I think he's been on a team with for like a year now or something, all the way back when they were C9E or C9T. I don't remember which one, but it just doesn't make sense because they all seem like such good players, and they've grown as a team and whatnot and gotten better, and they're finally in LCS, and you want to leave them for Fnatic, who like has confirmed nobody on their roster besides Yellowstar. It's just like obviously he would know who's on the roster with talking to Fnatic, but it just makes no sense to me. I feel like H2K, I don't think they're going to be like Cloud9 busting at the LCS level. I don't think any team will ever do that again, but I think they would be easily middle, kind of in a probably a better but similar situation to where Curse Academy is going to be. They're going to be like middle of the pack with the potential to be really strong, depending on how well they keep growing and whatnot. So I think, like, to me, it's a stupid decision for Febiven to be leaving. But
so let's talk about his replacement. Ryu has already met up with the H2K players. It looks like he's going to be the guy to fill Febiven's shoes. Now, I think this is an interesting move from H2K because we've seen Ryu, play for Millennium. Wasn't particularly great. We saw him fill for Roccat in the absence of them having a mid laner, which will most likely be Nukeduck when they're able to get everything finalized. He wasn't that great. Now he is gonna be in the LCS. Given this lifeline by H2K, what's he going to do between now and the start of the season? And we haven't got long to get up to the level because, all due respect to him, and I think people were right to assume he would do well, but he hasn't shown that yet. So anyone got any thoughts on this?
yeah, again, from the outside, it's bizarre to me to see Horo and Ryu be getting thrown all these bones after kind of mediocre or poor performances, in my opinion. Yet, like, these LCS teams and these like good squads just like keep picking him up, picking really both of them up, and like right now with Ryu, it being him being a possible replacement for H2K, that's just kind of crazy to me because I don't think he played well at all with he played with Roccat that tournament, and then he didn't play very well on Millennium either. They got beat by Giants. So, I mean, maybe there's something I'm not seeing, but I don't know. In my opinion, there's got to be someone better, like in Europe, for the job than him. With Europe having all these phenomenal mid laners and whatnot.
Yeah. So we're told. Ram,
Yeah,
any
so we're
thoughts
told.
on? I mean, can you talk about this, or are we straying into uncomfortable territory again?
Uncomfortable territory.
Okay, I will let you.
You're not fun.
Abstain.
Okay, you may abstain. Christopher,
Just
what do
like
you
just
think?
like just like Nintendude, abstaining from LCS.
First blood.
What number on
Cute,
the
Ram.
list
You're
was
so
that?
cute.
Was that 23? Hey, Christopher, I'll ask you about Ryu then. I mean, do you think this is a good move for H2K? Most people at this stage would say it's a step down from Febiven, but then again, Ryu has this pedigree, this quality. He just hasn't shown it in Europe yet. Do you think he can? Do you think H2K will get value out of Ryu if they do sign him?
I think it's a step down from Fabian because, like, of course, the communication also speaks into the team, and I think Ryu doesn't speak English fluently, but I think like picking Ryu to any other mid lane than you is probably an alright choice, and man got a lot of experience that he can provide, I guess, and I don't know. It's just whether it will help H2K, and I think, but I don't know if it's like a good move because I don't know. I personally like the more if you pick like these new talents who want it more, that really wants to actually like let's say you work because you work them to be better. Like I'm really happy that actually Gambit took me because I'm like I was a nobody almost, but I'm also working really hard to actually become something because I really want this. And I think sometimes the teams just tunnel vision. Oh, this guy is a huge star. He got experience and stuff like that. But sometimes it's better to take these new people who doesn't have a lot of experience but can become something and got the talent as well. But I think going back to H2K, I think it will take a bit time again because it whether like how Rio will set will he perform as this good player as he was before. But I know that he was at jungle at some point, wasn't he? And then just came back to mid before moving to Millennium. Wasn't he a jungler?
I don't know. I'll ask Ram. Did Ryu jungle?
He jungled for like
A little bit,
Yeah.
like one or
Yeah.
two games or
Oh,
one or
okay.
two series. It wasn't anything really amazing, but
Alright.
I think he did jungle with rookie mid when Insect left KT. That was a long time ago, though. He wasn't anything very good
Okay.
at.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to say because Rio hasn't really done anything great in the Millennium and Rocket. He wasn't like he didn't look that great.
In scrims, he looked really fucking good, though. I don't know if you scrimmed Rocket. He looked
We didn't
really,
scrim
really, really.
Rocket with Rio. We only scrimmed the time with Millennium when he was playing there. That was the only time I played him.
I mean, I don't know, man. I still think maybe he can, do something. And certainly, it looks like he's going to get the opportunity for a full split. But I gotta agree with Josh, and I got to agree with Christopher on this. And that is that I think any other player, having shown this level of performance, probably wouldn't be getting an LCS shot anytime soon. There's arguably better players that have had to claw their way back up through Challenger than get this kind of golden ticket because they're cruising by on reputation. And Christopher's absolutely right. We've seen young players, come in and seize the opportunity with both hands. Whereas conversely, we've seen established talent that are maybe on the downslope of their careers, underperforming. Just we're safe. We're okay. It doesn't matter how bad things are. Indeed, we alluded to this a lot when we were talking about CLG. So, that could be something that H2K need to be mindful of. Moving on, we'll get to the moment of truth. Fnatic's roster, which I haven't had time to write up on the Daily Dot. My editor's been away on his Christmas holiday. He gets back tomorrow. But, so obviously we know Yellow Star's there. Obviously, we know Forbiven's going to be mid. So the jungle apparently is going to be it's Rainover, right? And the AD carry is Steelback. So if that goes ahead, I mean, well, first of all, what can you guys as professional players tell me about both of those?
who in the blue hell is Steelback? Where's he from?
He played in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
SK Prime, French AD
Oh,
carry.
he's European. Oh, okay, I thought he was Korean. Never mind. So
He's a French AD carry, challenger. I guess I would actually let you talk about Steelback since you've probably played against him a lot more.
do you have a
Uh,
name before Steelback?
No, I Steelback maker.
He's
I don't
pretty
know.
new to the competitive scene because I
Okay.
think he
Because when
he had his rise around 4 months ago
think-
where he got challenger and actually started becoming a name in Europe in the challenger. But
when
Steelback,
I think SKP. I think of wasn't Haydal the AD carry for them for a little
yeah,
bit.
that was the former SKP.
Yeah, that's former SKP.
They got a new SKP before the expansion tournament.
Okay. Yeah, well, I can't tell you anything about this guy, so.
But the thing is that,
Way.
you know, I can't, and I don't think there's many people who realistically could. I mean, this is why, thank God, Christopher and Ram are here to talk about him, because when everyone was talking about the Fnatic lineup, I was like, well, it's got to be Tabs. It just has to be that they're going to go and pick him up. Now we're realistically staring at a potential European split where the statistically second best AD carry doesn't have a team. It seems insane to me that Fnatic are going to take this gamble when I'm pretty sure Tabs, who I think has talked privately about how much he'd like to play with Yellowstar. I think this is an incredible gamble.
I would think that they contacted Tabs and maybe there was an issue between them and Tabs or Tabs and them. I mean, I'd be really surprised if they didn't go through Tabs first.
Yeah.
They also went through a guy called Jeebus, and thank God they didn't get him because I don't really rate Jeebus that high. I don't think he's that good.
Yeah, I heard the Jeebus thing, but again, I've not heard anything about whether they've contacted Tabs or not.
I would be surprised if they didn't. Basically.
Same.
Okay, so give me a theoretical scenario, Ram, in your mind. How do you think it went?
Either, I guess, what I think about like the types of players that they're getting, like Yellow Star and Febivin. These are like high quality star players, so the teams would be built around them. So either they didn't like Tabs or Tabs didn't like them. It's the only explanation that I can really think of, and that makes sense because people in this scene are little bitches actually half the time, so they can't really deal with other people very well, which could be an issue. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they had something between either like Febivin and Tabs or Tabs and Yellowstar or whatever. Like I'm not saying that there is anything or that's probably the most logical issue there, because it would be really shocking if Fnatic didn't approach Tabs. Like it would be very confusing.
Okay, Christopher, your thoughts? I mean, what do you think about Fnatic not getting Tabs and taking this gamble on Steelback?
It's a huge surprise for me as well, because like I think the AD carry were actually a bit stacked this off season, or like there was a lot of good talents and a lot of good players that have been removed from the roster, including Candy Panda and Taps, and I'm really surprised that actually Fnatic not getting Taps, because I really expected it, because Taps is a really good AD and he's also a really smart player, and I don't see. Okay, I don't know the situation, but I don't see why you wouldn't take him over a challenger AD. But I think the gamble is alright. Like sometimes I think like an AD carry works with Yellowstar, and Yellowstar have been playing AD himself. Like I think it's gonna work if the AD guy is talented enough, because Yellowstar is a really solid support who also played AD himself, and I think he's gonna help him a lot through it.
I mean, I'm really underwhelmed. Let's talk about Rainover in jungle.
Well, actually, before we go there, our honorary Polak Fly made a mention, say maybe they thought the same that we thought a few episodes ago, that he might be too much of a hassle to work with.
Yeah, he did make that point, and maybe I shouldn't be so surprised, but I also think organizations are a little bit like, you know, put it this way: established organizations, whenever you hear about a player that might be difficult to work with, I'm pretty sure every manager on that organization goes, it's bad management. It'll be different when they come to our organization because we have serious managers and we do things differently. And then the player comes in and they have the same problems, and then it's like, fuck, and they just move them on. You know, like that's a trend in esports. But so yeah, maybe it's that, dude. But I'm surprised. I think most people would be like, we'll give it a split at least. I just can't believe Tabs might not be in, you know, might not feature next season at all, which it just seemed, because I can't think of any other team that he might end up at. It's just it's insane.
I'm also surprised they didn't talk to Dexter, or maybe they did, or I don't know.
Well, this is the other thing. So, first of all, let's talk about Rainover. I want you to educate me about him. And again, open floor, anyone can jump in. We've got junglers galore here.
So, Rainover.
What I remember of him from He seemed like he was like a Nunu player and a Lee Sin player, what I remember. On Incredible Miracle, I think is the team he played for. And I don't think he really had any like amazing plays. I don't know. Maybe you've seen more Ram, but I just remember him being like a big Nunu player.
I'm not a big fan of Nunu players.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nunu players either.
I personally think that champion is garbage. But I have a lot of people who have very strong opinions about Reignover. Specifically, I got called veteran as well. Was the guy who gave me the stats. He claims that Reignover rode the bench of Incredible Miracle. Basically, I don't think I've ever really thought of Reignover and thought to myself, what an outstanding player. He definitely showed me something about the game. He's kind of coming in with not a lot to show. I think he's just kind of like one of those spare Koreans that are just around. Like, he has a 25% win ratio on Elise in OGN statistics, 1-3, and a 1-1 win ratio with Evelyn. Like, he played 6 games and he lost most of them. He lost 4.
Who did they beat and who did they lose to?
I don't know. I just have those stats.
Oh, well, that doesn't help much.
He hasn't really shown a lot that he's a very capable player, but I guess we'd have to see him against other EU junglers and how he rates, which is probably going to be hard for him because junglers is just something that we EU players have. You know? I mean, you would know firsthand. I mean, he did go up against Impaler and got a little bit.
Hey, come on! I didn't personally get shit on by Impaler. He just like.
That's not what Impaler's been telling everyone, Josh.
Impaler's been taking loads of hype pills, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm in the UK LOL chat, which has about 4 people in it, and one of them's Snoopy, and basically he's been telling all of us in that channel that he wrecked you, and now your farts are permanently silent because of what he did to you.
Please.
No, I'm just fucking with you, Josh. I know.
None of this happened.
I'm really interested to see how Reignover performs. I don't really expect him to perform very well, if I'm going to be honest, based on what I've seen, how I've seen him play, and just I guess it's not only just the way I've seen him play, it's just the lack that I've seen him play. He's a sub that wasn't used very often.
I mean, there's got to be use a sub, right?
Incredible Miracle isn't exactly a team with fantastic players, which would say if you're a sub and you're not really being used, right? Like that says something a little bit there.
That's what I get from it. It's like how like you can say, oh, this poor guy, like he rode the bench on a team that was bad. Like he should have been, he got held back, but it's like he wasn't even good enough for the main roster from what it sounds like. So
his only wins, thanks to Sam, were against Zenix Storm in the spring of 2014. Yes, and Zenix in spring of 2014 were, as the French would say, baguette or really bad.
So, I mean, this is a bit of a come down for Fnatic in terms of junglers. Like, we know that they had talks with Spirit. That was, at one point, looked to be on the cards after...
Yeah, well, for a while I considered Spirit to be one of the best jungler in the world, and then Dandy, took a crap on his face. But Spirit to Fnatic would have been a lot more interesting than Reignover, because... I think I can't really emphasize on much of just how unknown this player is. There's very little to work with on what we've seen. Yeah. It seems like he's not their 3rd or 4th choice, but their 6th or 7th choice down the line.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, they were saying they didn't want to necessarily pay the money. This was back when they had, this was back when they were trying to address the cyanide problem. And they still would have had SOAS and XPEK, and they were like, well, we don't want to bring Spirit in and pay him Korean amounts of money, especially because then if the other players on the team find out about it and they, you got to pay. I'm XPEK, look at all these Facebook followers and Twitter likes I've got, and come the fuck on. And SOAS, I'm fucking SOAS for fuck's sake, so you got to pay me some money. So all of a sudden, it could have become this financially unstable hot potato for them to deal with. Now, though, in a team where it's, they definitely don't have Xpeke. They don't have Reckless anymore. They're looking likely to lose SOAS. There must be free money there. So why, it's a shame that they sort of didn't bite the bullet and pay Spirit what he was asking for. And of course, the other question is Dexter.
I think there might have, I don't know, something's fishy.
An interesting thing I heard about the Spirit thing was I heard a couple Western, like probably a few Western teams obviously were interested in Spirit. And I guess they thought, I heard some people were having like Skype conversations. They thought it was with him, but it was actually with his translator. So they found out he didn't speak like any English, and they're like, okay, never mind. Like as far as I know, Spirit doesn't really like speak any English as far as like a little bit of it, from what I've heard. That could be all rumor. I just kind of heard that through the grapevine, but
that would be a problem.
If Fnatic like isn't going after him either, I'd assume they maybe ran into the same situation a couple other Western teams I've heard have run into.
We can't have a Korean player not go on the analyst desk and get the reply that his English is really improved. that would be an awful sin. No, but if that's the case, then okay, that's like the perfect deal breaker. If the guy
like if there's English. Yeah, like I feel like that's the only reason. Like I feel like some team would bite the bullet and cough up a shit ton of money for Spirit, just because.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already got Steelback and Yellowstar, and they don't speak like the best English. But like, does Reignover speak good English? Like, I would hope so. That it's got to be like a substantially good English, because
there's got to be something on the table right now. Because
a lot of people are going to bring up like, oh, we've seen how a team doesn't really need to speak to each other to communicate well, in the form of Insec, like in his team.
Starhorn.
Yeah, that's not the rule. That's the exception to the rule, basically.
Yep.
That's like the one exception that we've ever seen that a communication is not important. I think that's what we're trying to forget here, is that whoever they get who's Korean needs to speak damn good English, or at least communicate well enough.
So, Christopher, I want to ask you about the Dexter question mark. I mean, I know Fnatic, it wasn't anything solid, but I think they had some initial kind of talks about the possibility of maybe going back when Dexter was making his own team. I'm very surprised that Fnatic now haven't secured his signature. And again, it looks like Dexter, who has turned down some coaching offers, it looks like he's going to not be playing in the next split either. So what do you think about this? First of all, the decision to bring in an unproven Korean jungler into, their team, and also what do you think about them not electing to go for Dexter?
I think they might have, but something might have got a little bit RE in that deal.
Right. Well, I'm asking Christopher. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think it's a good choice to pick a jungler who he didn't play no Jhin, or he was subbing a few times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. The guy also, that if he doesn't speak English, is a huge downgrade from, like, I don't know why they wouldn't go for a guy like Dexter, because Dexter has a lot of experience and he also communicates really well. And when you're taking a gamble on another player, like let's say they get this 80 carry, or I don't know who they're getting for top, but I don't know. I think you have to like mix it. You have to like, how do you say it? Level it up for each other. You're taking a gamble on one player. Okay, if the other players with a lot of experience and when they have been in a team before with a good communication can help this player, so he also can get on the same level. But picking a Korean jungler who hasn't proven himself, or who's just unknown for us, because we're here in Europe, is a bit of more of a gamble, I would say. And I think, I don't know what to say about this Fnatic roster, but I think there will be some trouble in the team.
I don't know.
And it also looks like, just to keep, the kind of almost like pessimism surrounding Fnatic going forward, it looks like they're going to lose SOAS as well. It looks like SOAS is going to go to Origin. Why do you say that, Richard? Okay, well, Fnatic have made inquiries about several top laners.
We also saw SOAS playing with Origin on the Ranked 5s ladder. Mm-hmm. The account Touch My Tagada or whatever is SOAS's account. They were playing some Ranked 5s, and G2 were also playing Ranked 5s against them, but that's what we'll talk about later.
There's a match on Reddit where they shit on B2 from what I saw.
Yeah.
Like one of the 4 matches that they did that. It's not very
Nice.
unique. And this time it's not Ocelot's fault. Woo! Where is the circle jerk going now? But yeah, it seems that Soaz will be probably, or is testing with Origin right now, or Origen. What top laners did you hear that they would be getting? Because surely from EU there aren't many left. Unless I'm winking at you because you know where I'm hinting at, because I don't want to say it, but I know you will. They were looking for a top laner, a really good one on a team, you know?
Yeah, they perhaps might have quite possibly looked into the prospect of Odoamni on H2 from H2K.
Now I just look like I have a fucking Twitch, like I'm watching myself wink. Like, holy crap.
You're so hot.
So look, yeah, that happened. That did happen. So again, it begs the question: why are Fnatic doing that if Soaz is going to stay with them? I mean, I think it's pretty fucked up, man. Like that Fnatic. For me, Fnatic. Put it this way: if you reach out to a team that's just newly got promoted to LCS and you're looking to poach, I shouldn't use the word poach because I'm sure I'm sure the approaches were made in a responsible fashion. But if you're looking to acquire, I should say, 2 players from that team, maybe more, that smacks of desperation for me. So again, I don't know what you guys think about this. Like, do you? Okay, so the overlining question here is: did Fnatic have a strategy to deal with losing these players of theirs?
I mean, if theoretically rumor says that they wanted to take like Febby, Odo, and Hjarnan, they'd be pretty much picking from like the best that Challenger had to offer, and replacing their veteran players with some fresh talent that, if developed properly, with a seasoned leader like Yellow Star, could possibly make for a team.
This is motherfucking Fnatic we're talking about. This is Fnatic, one of the world's elite organizations, one of the top teams, former champions.
Everybody's got to start fresh. I mean, we would say the same about Gambit, and look how far they fell and rose again with new players.
Well, I would argue.
I think you just got wrecked, Richard.
No, I don't think I got wrecked. I would argue actually that this is worse. I think we're about to see something unprecedented. I put it this way: I don't see how. I mean, Yellow Star is almost certainly going to retire after this split anyway. Yeah. I mean, that's the word on the street. So,
you mean the season or the split? Why would he retire after the split?
The split.
Well, why would he do that? Why didn't he just play through World? Kind of silly.
It's a long fucking way off, especially if you're playing in a team.
Yeah, but like, why half-ass it through the season? Why not just retire now?
Well, I guess to help Fnatic out. Like, can you imagine if they lose Yellow Star as well?
No, I
mean, I don't see any hope. It's like shoot the dying horse already. Goddamn it, it's dead.
You know, I mean, this is what I'm trying to get at here is like this is an elite organization. Now, sure, you can get blindsided. Maybe the Reckless thing came out of left field. You know, but here's what I think. If you're going to put buyouts into contracts, you're effectively inviting the possibility of, if that player performs well, another team being able to acquire them. It's not cast iron. You know there's a likelihood that player can go at any time the player wants to leave and an organization stumps up the money. Okay? So with that in mind, you have to have a strategy for what can happen if if that thing that you're potentially inviting does occur. Now, with all of these players that have left Fnatic, I mean, I think for the most part, we're getting massive downgrades. And that's not good. That smacks of we didn't really have a plan. We didn't expect this to happen. You know, like they're gonna end up. I think. I mean, there's an argument about Forbidden, but he certainly doesn't have Xpeki's experience. Maybe he's better mechanically or whatever. You know, but again, I wouldn't want to make that argument in the face of Xpeki's fans. But this Fnatic team, for me, the one that it looks like they're going to assemble, they're going to be right down there. This is bad. This is, you know, this could be the start of the end of Fnatic having a top tier League of Legends team.
Ripping pepperonis, boys.
Yeah, I genuinely believe this. Christopher, I mean, what do you think about Fnatic overall? Like, you know, we're looking at this roster. Do you think, you know, because as Ram says, you know, you're playing in a Gambit team that's rebuilding, perhaps with a few unknown players, like, you know, Brokenshard, yourself, you know, and NIQ as well.
Edward.
I would argue.
I really know who Edward is.
Yeah, who's that guy? Do you think Fnatic can somehow mold these players and they can be a next generation, or do you think this is a bit of a mishmash?
I think it's a mishmash because, like, if you compare, like, let's say Fnatic's current situation and Gambit with adding me and Kabushat, you have like 2 new players joining, like challenger players, but you also have like 2 players as Diamond and Edward who have so much experience and been competing in the scene for like 3 years, 4 years, and like they can speak English, so they can like bring a lot of information to us and help us through it. But when Fnatic only have Yellow Star, as what we're looking at right now, to help them through it, I think it will be like really hard. And that's why I think like getting this experienced jungler or a guy like Dexter, like exactly like Dexter, who could help them through it. But if there's no like experienced jungler or another role they're gonna put it at, I think it will be really hard for Fnatic. Because it's basically just a solo queue team, and then there's Yellow Star and Fib even.
Josh, any thoughts? I mean, I know again it's Europe, so
Hey, you're saying it, not me. I mean, you're the one supplying the dank memes about me not liking Europe. I actually kind of find it.
And you've admitted to me that you don't really follow it quite so much. I never chew you up about that. You can't follow every region.
It's interesting that Fnatic's like losing everybody, but I can't. For some reason I'm caught up on the whole like Yellow Star wanting to play one more split and then like retiring. I don't know. That for some reason gets me.
A lot of people are talking about it. Like, I don't know if it's one of those things you say. It gives you a caveat, so you can, if things go bad, like if you know he's staring this. Yeah. You know, mishmash, as I'm calling it, and Christopher agrees. Yeah. Thanks for backing me up on that, bro. You know, this mishmash roster in the face, and he's thinking to himself, like, oh my God, this is going to be so fucking rough. You know, I'll just say I'm out at the end of the split no matter what happens. And then, you know, if you get relegated, you get to go out and you're like, well, I was always going to retire. And, you know, I've come to the end of my journey. It's been great. Fnatic are awesome. I love them. And everyone's like, oh, no, we're so sad to see you go. You know, and do what they always do when players retire. Like, all of a sudden, they're the best player that ever played the game. They, you know, that's the one thing I will say about League of Legends fans. They'll shit on you every fucking week, and then the minute you retire, it's all forgiven.
When you retire, it's like fucking Memorial Week for you, man. It's like, ugh.
I just want to say thanks. You know, like the shittest player, like whoever had the game installed. Like, you know, I just want to say thanks to that twat in Bronze 3 who played 1 million games on Urgot. Thanks for all the memories. You know, like they're very sentimental in that regard. But anyway,
there's gonna be like a picture slide with the song like "Time of Our Lives" or something going on of all the memories that they've had.
Yeah, just some fucking Green Day or whatever. Just fuck this.
I can play that. I can play that on the guitar.
No. We'll leave the guitar on the bed for now, I think. But
it's like,
go on.
Just like to me, from like a legacy standpoint, like if you want to leave, if you like want to retire soon anyway, and you're saying, all right, I'll play one more split, and then you're staring this roster in the face, why not be like, you know, maybe I can just leave now and people like I won't have to deal with this, because he must have a lot of faith in whatever the hell Fnatic's doing if he's willing to play another split with 4 random players that are like getting picked out of nowhere, and they're probably going to be downgrades.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's necessarily about faith. Put it this way. Look, I'll speak candidly here, and hopefully anyone affected will forgive me for this. But okay, so let's say you're in a team or any job, and this wholesale change is made, and you look at the people around you, and you're like, these guys fucking suck. This is like so bad compared to the people we used to have. I really don't want to do this. This is going to be too hard. This is going to be a huge struggle. I can't really. I don't want to be the guy who it's all going to fall on because I'm like, now the experienced and established person.
Yeah.
So when that happens, generally the person who's paying your wages will come to you and they'll be like, look, man, we need you. This is where we need you. We remember when you had that, block drain and you needed to take the day off work because the plumber was coming, and we let you go and we paid you as well. We didn't take it out your holidays. And do you remember that other time, when there was that mix up? And remember that time you said you didn't want to work Christmas Eve and we gave you Christmas Eve off? All of those favors you've acquired, they say, this is where you cash it in. And you go, fucking all right then. All right. But if it's shit, I'm going. All right. That's what you say, and that's that's the line in the sand right there. So basically, that's what Yellow Star's doing. Remember when we took the gamble of moving you to support? Now you pay it back.
I don't know. Like, I don't think it's fair to say that like Yellow Star owes them anything. Like that analogy's okay, but I just don't think he owes them shit is my thing. So I think he does have like a good amount of faith in the Fnatic org to say, okay, I'll play another split with you, and maybe it does turn into he's going to play out the season with them. But
if he wanted to study, he might as well just play this season as well because his studies won't start till I guess fall. I don't know. I've never applied for college.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
So, okay, well, we'll move away from Fnatic. I think we can all agree that it's going to be a tough season for them. I mean, look, again, I think a lot of people are probably feeling I'm twisting the knife a bit with Fnatic. It's been bittersweet for me. It's been really tough because, as everyone knows, I've got a lot of friends in the organization. I was friends with all of the old players. Hell, I've interviewed Yellow Star a bunch of times, and I've been around Fnatic all my esports life. I really hope they do sort it out, but right now the way things are going, it's pretty fucking brutal. To put it lightly. So we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about Origin. The rosters come together nicely. It looks like SOAS will indeed be the last.
It's so funny that we just talk about Origin. Pekka just appeared in the chat. So
yay! Well, great.
We made it, boys. We're getting backdoored.
Let's hear it for Peke. So let's talk about this Origin side. I'm pretty excited by this roster.
Yeah, they look like they're gonna be pretty good.
So what do you guys think? Especially if let's assume SOAS is going to join them. This is a team for me that looks better than some LCS teams. And people were saying, "Oh, this is going to be Gamers 2 all over again. Peke is going to go the same way as Ocelot. It's going to be horrible." But actually, this team looks really good. Christopher, what do you think about Origin? Do you think they're going to be able to, wreck people?
I think they're going to be a team like LMQ. Like just completely dumpster the challenger scene and get into LCS comfortably. And also for the summer split, I think they will get a top position if they like keep working as they do and mesh as a team. And if they get a good coaching staff at that time. But yeah, for now, like this split, they will just completely like get rid of all the opponents they will get in the challenger scene and just dumpster through it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really see how a challenger team can come close to the people they've got on the roster. I mean, H2K was considered an incredibly strong challenger team, and rightly so. But this is another prospect again. I mean, I think they've just got they'll have experience and talent.
Yeah, I agree.
Ram, any thoughts on Origin?
They kind of shit on Gamers too, who kind of seem to be the only other challenger team. that really seems like good enough to make waves for the LCS, because Reason Gaming and Faculty kind of looked broken after the relegation tournament. I honestly didn't really rate them that high, and then I honestly would rate Origin better than Giants, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I think that, well, there's another team, another challenger team in EU. Julius, Ica, Hiva, Smitty J, and I don't know who the AD carry is, but that's like another challenger team that's coming up. But I think that, yeah, Origin will probably dumpster the challenger team and would probably make it into LCS fairly easily.
So here's an interesting thing. They announced today that they've signed a streaming deal with a new streaming platform called Gaming TV. Now, I'm guessing big money involved in this, obviously. I'm a little bit surprised because I know Peke, had a huge following on Twitch when he had to move across to Azubu. And I don't think he was particularly happy with having to move to Azubu. I thought maybe... what's happening? Chat. What am I missing?
Chat. Hey, Ram, here's a pantry for you.
It's good. At least it shows that our fans pay attention to past shows, which is good.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, but so I wanted to get your thoughts about this because this is a big team that for me hugely popular. Going to a streaming platform we don't know too much about. Some people will call it a cash grab, but is this a good move for the team if they want to get that exposure?
It can be good and bad because Origin are really hyped right now. Whichever streaming platform they do go to, when they start streaming, a lot of people are going to go flock over to that. So it could potentially bring a new streaming platform into competition, and not like Azubu and Hitbox where nobody ever really goes there. Like an actual competitive streaming platform.
I think it's going to take more than just them to make this gaming TV or whatever the hell it's called popular. I mean, CLG tried that with Azubu and nothing happened. CLG was hugely popular. I don't know, in my opinion, I think it's really dumb to try and rival Twitch right now, but I'm just kind of biased.
I'm wearing a Twitch fucking hoodie that they sent me for Christmas. So,
dude.
Yes, I personally want to say that Twitch are amazing.
And Twitch loves DreamHack.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, fuck yeah, you got that T-shirt on as well. So, but yeah, I'm interested in this deal. I don't know if it's going to limit the team a little bit in terms of exposure. I mean, it's definitely going to put money in the bank, which right now I totally get because this is a new organization, one that ex-Peke's put together himself. I'm sure with his his own brand as a player, he's going to be able to get big sponsors in. I'm sure when they get into LCS, everyone's gonna, be knocking on the door, falling over themselves to give them money. But as Fusion knows, as any team knows, that this is the hard time. When you're facing, a prolonged period in Challenger, not in LCS, and you need money. A team with a house and everything, it's not free. So yeah. I'm sure Gaming TV will have paid top dollar to acquire these players. And that's interesting for them.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had something in my. It was the crushed dreams of Nintendude's LCS career.
Fuck man, we've twisted the knife harder.
I heard what you said about the challenger teams needing money. So if this streaming platform is providing Peke and the organization that much money, then I guess it would be worth it for sustainability up till the LCS. But then once they make LCS, I'd probably consider seeing them leaving that platform and going to Twitch.
Maybe that's the agreement in place, because think about it, Gaming TV would have got what they wanted. I'm sure right now, in fact, let's have a quick look, because let me just see, because when I checked their Twitter earlier today before the announcement. Oh, okay, well, that's fucked my point right over. I was just going to say, when I checked their Twitter earlier today, they had 2,100, 2,200 followers, I think it was. And I was expecting them to be up to 16K or something now, but they're still on less than 3,000. So fuck my point. And I won't make it again. But it would be mutually beneficial even if it was a short-term arrangement. because I'd never heard of gaming TV. I didn't know they were a streaming platform. I didn't know they were going to enter into the equation as we go into 2015. I knew there were going to be more and more popping up, but I just didn't see this one coming. Okay, so we'll move on from Origin. Speaking of things that are popping up, one of the big stories that happened over the Christmas holidays was it was leaked that Team Liquid are going to take over the Curse slot in NA. And when Curse said they were going to relinquish their title sponsorship, as they referred to it, of both Curse and Curse Academy, because obviously they have two teams in the LCS, it sparked a flurry of bids, like a bidding war, like how everyone wants their name on a team in the LCS. So I got it from some reliable sources that Team Liquid are going to take over the Curse first team, the one that used to have Voyboy in it, so not the Academy side. And I was also told in quite a detailed manner that the staff have had, this is how it's definitely happening, the staff have had all their Curse emails deactivated and now have been transferred over to teamliquid.net or whatever, at Team Liquid's emails. So it looks pretty good that it's going to go ahead. I just wondered what you guys thought about this, whether this is
Liquid hype.
Liquid.
Wait,
Well, I don't know how handsome Liquid can actually be. But yeah, come on, Josh. This is your domain.
Well, what I don't understand is like Liquid's not gonna have anything to do with this team, right? Like
No.
Liquid 112, like
With
he's
CA?
gonna be owning Curse. Like, so who's gonna be owning Curse Academy? Is it or Team Liquid? Is it gonna be somebody from Team Liquid? And like, is all the staff for Curse Academy gonna be Team Liquid staff, or is some transferring over from Curse? How's that gonna work?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about how they're going to restructure, but what I do know is, we've all seen the Liquid Media.gg website.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm familiar
so
with Team Liquid, and hooray, they're getting involved with
no. I mean,
league,
I'll link it to you in the Skype thing. Liquidmedia.gg is what Liquid's going to be focusing his attention on, which is Steven.
the guy Liquid, yeah.
Yeah, the guy,
Steve.
Liquid 112. We'll call him
Okay.
Steven, I think, from this point
call him Steve.
onwards. You can see that, I think this is what's going to take up his attention, which is basically it's another talent agency. I think people have realized that the new way in esports to get paid is to get a talent agency, and maybe a streaming platform will buy you out.
So
Hey,
he's creating like a new whatever GG that owns like EG and shit.
A GEM, which was Global Esports Management, formerly Esports Management Group, or a Good Game, which was recently acquired by Twitch. He's setting something up like that, and you can see the talent that's signed there. So Saint Vicious is there, looking good in his vest, obviously. Phantom Lord is there, Sky Williams is there, and Trick2G is there.
Interesting.
So I'll put the link in the chat just in case people didn't hear me think. So I think that's what he's going to be focusing on. So I don't think he'll be hands-on with the team at all. Indeed, I don't know if necessarily he can be. Yeah. I have no idea. Now, what happened is Riot brought in these rules to try and be clear about team ownership. And if anything, I think it's muddied the waters a little bit more. Because, when you sell a title sponsorship, I'm not necessarily sure that absolves you of any influence. It seems like a very strange way to say, "Oh, look, well, there's no nepotism going on. There's no conspiracies. There's no cronyism. There's no collusion." But in actual fact, this is effectively, this is very similar to what was going on with Nip and Lemon Dogs, where everyone knows now and accepts that Lemon Dogs was effectively a subsidiary of NIP. It was being managed by the same people and influenced by the same people, and Riot Games were fully aware of that. And indeed, when it came to matters of, talking about roster-related issues with Lemon Dogs, they reached out to NIP management to, corroborate or communicate them.
Wait, so what's gonna be the name of this Curse Academy team?
Well, therein lies the question. So this is being
Wait, so they're not gonna be Team Liquid? Like, oh my God, there's so many
right. No,
Liquids right now.
yeah,
Jesus
so
Christ.
we'll talk about Team Liquid from it. So Team
So
Liquid
they're
is
not gonna be not
main.
like Team Liquid, like the team in Dota and shit, and big in StarCraft. Not that
Guys,
Team Liquid.
Yeah,
I
it is
really
Team Liquid.
I really need to
Is
use the
that
bathroom. Can we not
it?
talk about
Is
Liquid
that
right now?
Liquid? Oh my God.
It is that Team
So,
Liquid.
so you're telling me there's the guy Liquid,
I-
there's his agency Liquid Media, and then there's Team Liquid.
Yeah. I know this is hard for you to follow, Josh, but try and.
Oh my
So
fucking
who's
God, this is
owning who?
awful.
Like, I guess I'm on the same page with Josh here. Like, who's owning who? Like, which team is Liquid Media gonna work for?
No, Liquid Media is no one. The only reason I brought Liquid Media to the table, guys, Liquid Media is not going to have anything to do with any team. Liquid Media.
Okay.
The reason I brought Liquid Media to the table is to demonstrate that Liquid, the manager, aka Steven, will have nothing to do with either team. He's going to focus his attention on that project, the liquidmedia.gg group. So we can now remove that from the table. Liquid sold the title sponsorship rights to Team Liquid for the main Curse team, and now for Curse Academy, there was a lot of talk about Optic, the legendary Call of Duty.
Oh my God.
So Team Curse is becoming Team Liquid? I thought Curse Academy was becoming Team Liquid.
Nope. The main.
What the hell?
Liquid.
Oh my God, that's okay. That clarifies some stuff. Okay.
Okay. So.
No, I get it now.
Good.
Okay.
And then Curse Academy is also up for sale, and a lot of people thought Optic were going to buy it. Optic have denied it publicly, which means fuck all, really. Multiple sources from me, that I knew, told me that Optic made bids and were interested, but Liquid, the manager, Steven, wasn't interested in that and has decided to go another route, which I don't know. I don't know I don't know who has acquired Curse Academy at this point. We're still trying to dig up that information. Optic denied it, and I had a chat with the Optic CEO, and I said to him the only way these sources could be wrong would be if Curse themselves had made it up that Optic were bidding for them, would be the way to best explain it. There's no way that these sources could be wrong.
God. Let the no scope fucking memes begin when Optic gets a League of Legends.
No, but I don't. All I know is that Optic were interested. I literally at this stage think they're not going to get Curse Academy. I think right now it's dead in the water. Someone else is going to get it. I got told, like, people, by the way, if you want to leak information to me, guys, I'm happy for it, but don't do it cryptically. So someone messaged me the other day going, yes, you were right about Optic not getting Curse Academy. And in fact, they've already sold Curse Academy to someone who has been in esports before, but failed. And I'm like,
they're like creating a riddle for you. It's like,
wait a second. So Nintendude is buying Curse Academy?
Nice meme. Nice meme.
Right now.
Right.
Nice meme.
I'm sorry.
Nice meme.
So, yeah, I
God,
was just like, are you fucking being serious? Like, just tell me. And then it was like, Shazam. They just disappear from Skype. Like, who were they? We'll never know. So, yeah, if you're going to leak information, guys, like, just leak the fucking information. I'm not going to use your name or anything, but, like, don't just give me cryptic hints. So I got no idea what's going on at this stage. Ultimately, to bring it back to the topic of conversation, I think this is a big thing. I think if Team Liquid do take over the Curse team, which, as I said, they've not denied it since it was reported, but by myself, I think that, I think that's great. I think that's great exposure for Team Liquid. And I think Team Liquid will be a welcome organization in the League of Legends kind of landscape. What do you chaps think?
Team Liquid are a pretty respected organization.
Liquid's good.
They kind of have the resources to bring a team to the top. So, I mean, I'm not on Curse, so I can't say. I'm really happy that they're working for them. But it seems like I guess, like the powerhouse that Curse is, that seems like Team Liquid is a suitable replacement. Like that feels like it would be a suitable replacement for what they had on Curse.
Yeah. So here's a question. I'm gonna open this up to you guys. Can you guys speculate as to why maybe Curse made this decision? You know, I mean, I think they're saying it's because of they want to stay invested in Curse Voice, was what they
It
said
seems
in the
like
statement.
seems like Curse like they want to be able to like sponsor multiple teams. Didn't they say that before? They want to like be able to like for multiple teams to have like a Curse Voice sponsorship or whatever is what it seems like. And like other orgs have been promoting Curse Voice, like I think TSM and stuff been promoting it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it seems like that's what's kind of going down. Is like they're invested in this Curse Voice stuff and just want to sponsor multiple teams, which means they can't like own a team. So yeah.
What about you? Any other thoughts? I mean, because yeah, do you think that's a good decision? Do you think that's smart?
I mean, I don't think that many teams can get fourth place, but yeah, I guess it's a good decision. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just whatever their prerogative is. If they just want to like sponsor teams and not deal with like owning an LCS team, I guess.
Okay, well, so just before we wrap up the show, because we've run over by half an hour as we always do. There's obviously been a couple more rumors going around, so let's let's bring them to heel. Josh,
Oh boy.
everyone's messing with me and saying, can you ask Josh this vitally important question? It has been observed that Chunky, your friend, your stand-in, has been playing top lane. Has been spamming top lane. So, does this mean that one of the changes that you alluded to right at the start of the show is Chunky going to replace Macnoon? You don't have to answer. I'm doing my job in asking.
Yeah, I mean, whoever was paying attention and seeing Chunky was playing quite a bit of top lane. They're not. I don't think they're that far off. But I mean, no, it's not set in stone. Like Chunky's gonna be the top laner of Fusion. I can't say that. No, and I can't say that Macnoon's off the team either. So I can't really help you, Richard. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but
Smooth, handled like a pro.
I can't confirm shit right now. I wish I could, but I can't.
So, and Ram, another rumor that's going around is that you're going to join Dignitas as head coach.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know
Well
if
played,
you're
man.
I don't know if you're being real here. Like, are you?
That
That would be news to me.
I'm just saying it because Odie's in the chat. I just want to see how he reacts to it. So
Odie,
I
can
am,
you tell me? Am I joining your team?
I am fucking with you. Just quickly, actually, at this juncture, Sam, can you bring up the picture that we got sent earlier? This was another dentist picture. It's the last one I linked you to. So hopefully, yeah, if you can scroll up and get it, I'll wait for it to come on the stream. But I thought this was brilliant. It's a tribute to you and your guitar playing. So I'll wait for that to come up. And while we do, Christopher, I will just say, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Just finally to, there it is, meme Metallica and to Sando. But yeah, so what's next for you and Gambit Gaming, Christopher? What's on the agenda?
As Gambit?
Oh, you personally and Gambit.
Me and Odie are actually trying to form my old band called the Big Bad Jews. That's basically where you might have heard that information. Odie's actually an honorary Jew. I knighted him over in Cologne.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's actually how
you require a knighthood to join the Jewish faith.
take-
I didn't know that.
You take a menorah, you dip it in hummus, you put a kebab on it, and then you
stab Jesus with it.
Wow. You did the inappropriate thing at the end of the show. Usually it's fun. Did you really do that? Oh my god. I'm not dealing with this one, Josh. You're on your own.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a bad one. But anyway, Christopher, so what are you going to be doing next? Like, are you going to be streaming? You know, have you got like a streaming schedule set up? Is it just hardcore practice? What's going on?
For now, we have a break until 5th of January. And I'm just, like, me personally, I'm just streaming every day. When I wake up, my sleep schedule is kind of fucked up, so I usually stream at 5 and I go to sleep at 8 a.m. But as for Gambit, we're getting actually a gaming house this time.
Ooh.
Since we have 3 players that are not Russian, so we can eligibly live in Berlin. So I don't know how it's gonna work with our friends Edward and Diamond, but I think it's something about they cannot live in the house full time because we're gonna spare some days in case we go for playoffs, so they can stay there the whole time. Just like the smart idea, but I'm excited to live in a gaming house with team members.
Yeah, it'll be good. It's an experience. I tell you what, right? Every League of Legends player, every League of Legends pro I talk to always says the same thing. My sleep schedule is fucked. That's what they always say. Like you just live in this perpetual state of being nocturnal. Yeah.
If everybody's as fucked, nobody's as fucked.
I like it, Josh. That sounds like one of the Fusion team talks, like after what happened. Like, hey,
Oh my god!
If we all played bad, no one played bad. I'm just
Richard.
kidding, dude. Ram's been doing it to you all night. I had to get one in. So look, all that said, I will let you guys do your shout outs. We'll start with Ram. Any shout outs? Anything you need to say contractually?
I'd like to shout out to Metallica. No, I'm like really sleep deprived because I've been super busy the past few days trying to figure out what's going on. I told people I would keep them posted, so I guess it's here. I'm applying to certain LCS teams to be a head coach or a coach, so I'm looking to coach next split of the LCS. That's basically all I'll say for now. And that's about it.
Good luck for that. You can throw in an application to Fnatic. They've got a... I mean, whoever would want that job. But with the team, they'd be left to work with. But that's there. That's open for people. Josh, some shout-outs for you. What's going on with Fusion? All of that stuff. How can we follow you?
I'll be heading back to the Fusion House in about a week or so. Actually, don't have my flight yet, but I'll be heading back soon. You know where to follow me. And shout out to Twitch chat for being my daily source of entertainment.
Yeah, and I got to say as well, Twitch chat was less harsh on you than your own co-hosts. That's bad. I think we need to get you a present for the next show. And Christopher, again, thanks a lot for coming on. Congratulations on winning IEM Cologne. Best of luck for the gaming house. And look, we'd love to get you on again sometime, especially when the LCS season's kind of running and underway, if schedule permits. Any final shout-outs for you?
No. Thanks for all the old Gambit fans that stuck with Gambit, even though we have new players on it. And thanks for all the people who are hyping the Graves play for me.
I'm telling you, man. I'm really happy for you, dude. You're a super awesome guy. You deserve all the success you're getting. So keep it up, man. Really. And to everyone else, we're probably not going to do a show before New Year. I'm probably going to do some kind of show. I'm talking to some celebrity types in esports, and I think we're going to do something, but no idea what it is. Who knows? Maybe we'll even do it on New Year's Eve to be like the ultimate fucking nerds. I don't know. Who knows? But we're thinking about it. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that was First Blood. We're going to be back to our regular schedule. So we're going to be back on the next Wednesday. So a little bit longer to wait. But trust me, it'll be worth it. I'm sure we're going to have awesome guests, lots to talk about. Until then, thanks for joining me. To everyone in Twitch chat, thanks a lot. And yeah, we're not going to talk about EG. Get fucked. See you on Wednesday.